to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Roberts, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mrs. Johns. Here. Mr. Kimmer.
Here.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Here.
All accounted for. Moving on into minutes. If you all had a chance to review the minutes and if there are no comments or corrections or questions, I need a motion to approve the minutes as they are presented. Ms. Johns makes a motion. I need someone to second.
Second.
Mr. Kimmer makes seconds.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on to adjustments to the agenda. Are there going to be any adjustments?
None at this time.
Moving on to information discussions, superintendent updates. Mr. Belleville, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Try to keep this fairly quick. Just want to run through a couple of the agenda items. First, we have first reading of three separate board policies for the board to consider. The first one deals with the hiring of certified staff, specifically the retire, rehire policy. When we updated our board policy manual last summer, there was such a complete overhaul of the complete board policy manual that even as we go through it, we're going to, from time to time, find little bits and pieces that we missed or did not update at the time that need addressed. Two of those, or one in particular, GCD-R, we had had provisions in our board policy for retire rehires prior to a certain date, and that we're kind of beyond needing that in our policy at this point. So the first reading would just be eliminating the language that deals with retire rehire prior to July 2014. So that's one consideration. And then the other two, I don't know if you want to speak to
Sure.
those?
The first one actually is just with some classified staff fringe benefits. This is one actually dealing with some group life insurance. Right now, the only time an employee is eligible for life insurance is within the first 30 days that they are hired. They need to elect into that. We did allow, when we switched life insurance back in 2020, we allowed a one-time election that if you weren't currently enrolled, that you could open enroll. However, that's not an insurance that can be open enrolled with the regular medical open enrollment every November. So this was one that we did need to go back and just remove that line because that piece of that insurance is not allowed to be open enrolled. You have to go back through a lot of just kind of medical exams and all of that stuff if you were to be enrolled in life insurance after the fact. So removing that. And then the second is actually a policy on petty cash accounts. This is one, we actually do not have petty cash accounts throughout the district, meaning that, you know, in each of our offices, we don't have petty cash accounts. We don't make purchases out of petty cash accounts. So that's basically just stating this, that we do not have those. And that if they were to ever be established for whatever reason, that we wouldn't be making bulk purchases from them. You know, we do have some cash for ticket sales, but we don't necessarily make purchases out of those. So that's just making sure that that's in place and it's just a policy.
Thank you. So we have those policy revisions, other things on the agenda that just want to kind of call out ahead of time and then can answer specific questions as we get to those pieces in the agenda. You will see a resignation of Kay Hughes, one of our bus drivers. I can go into detail on that if you want, but would just recommend we approve that whenever you get to it in the board agenda. Also, Taylor Claiborne is requesting a leave of absence as she is doing her student teaching. She is a aide here at the middle school in our BRT, and she's working on getting her teaching license, being an intervention specialist, and so we want to be supportive of her in that endeavor, and she's really working hard to get through that, so we're proud of her, and we want to make sure we're doing all we can to help her out in that process, and hopefully that leads to a future IS for us, and she has great experience in our BRT and does a tremendous job there, so would recommend we approve that. Also, you'll see personal service contracts, supplemental contracts. Again, we're so appreciative of our staff that is willing to do extra things and serve either as a coach or take on a group or activity like student council and those type of things. Those are such meaningful experiences for our students and staff willing to do that extra work and put in extra time. It's so positive in creating a good school culture. So appreciative of that. You'll see a volunteer coach on there, Coach Sullivan. Again, we're always appreciative of all of our coaches, but the coaches who volunteer to help out, that just just means the world. It helps everything work so much better. And as we've talked about time and time again, our volunteer coaches actually paid to be able to coach, and so we're appreciative of them. And we're updating our substitute list, both classified and our substitute teacher list. We'll only be voting on new people, so they're either highlighted or the substitute classified list. We only bring the new names forward each meeting. Names that have already been approved don't keep coming forward. Quite a few educational trips. It's just great to see our various student groups out and competing. A lot of ag competitions coming up right now, so we're happy to see that. And along with our partnership with the Fairfield County ESC, we continue to work with the Muskingum Valley ESC for various things and help. And so kind of continuing what that work we've done with them over the past couple of years. Our grant contract for the same continuum of work. They give us a lot of help with our behavioral needs students, high needs special education students, and so we're appreciative of their generosity and willingness to pitch in and help us out where we need help, and so bring that contract forward again this year for your consideration. Want to call out what a great day it was this past Saturday, the Land Lab Community Day. Just incredible weather, a lot of activities for kids and families. The turnout was incredible. A lot of kids there. Specifically want to thank our National Honor Society, our Ag Department kids for being there to help out and run different events. The Land Lab Committee, Mr. Kimmer can run down that list a little bit better than me, but I'm afraid I'll leave somebody's name out. But the Land Lab Committee just did a tremendous job this year organizing and setting things up, and the day went off just flawlessly. The grounds were beautiful. A lot of thanks to Mr. Kimmer for the amount of time he put in mowing out there and taking care of the area. Just it was stunning on Saturday. Just beautiful day overall. And just mention again, we honored Liz Henwood and Brian Oliver as our honorary chairpersons, and it was great to recognize them and for all of their efforts over the years in making the Land Lab what it is. So just a great day, and so appreciative of the support that we received from our community for that. It was a good time. Mr. Kimmer, anything you want to say?
Ditto to everything you had said, and even more. The Rushville Lions, a couple of our board members are with Rushville Lions, and they donated all the proceeds of any donations back to the school. What a beautiful day. Like I say, so much credit, as you mentioned, Mr. Belleville, to the Land Lab Committee for getting things ready and being organized. And Mrs. Toller, the Honor Society advisor, over those Honor Society students, how helpful they were. They were so helpful right from the beginning to during to even afterwards, and wagon tours and so much fun. Our goal, our vision was try to have this land lab for our curriculum, our extracurriculum, and our community. And it seems like we're meeting that goal, because every year we keep thinking, gosh, I don't know how we can top this. And it seems like this year we topped last year, and I didn't think we could top last year. And so it continues to grow. It's you just smile from earlobe to earlobe. Your smile touches the earlobe to earlobe of seeing all the kids and families, and it's just what we're wanting to be. Thanking our community for supporting the Land Lab, supporting Cooper Union Schools. Thank you, sir.
Want to point out this week is homecoming for our high school, so exciting time. I know today is one of my daughter's favorite days, pajama day, so every day this week there are different activities going on in the high school, and it throughout the year, without a doubt, my favorite week whenever I was a high school principal was homecoming week, just with all the activities and the school spirit and just the energy that you find in the hallways. It really is a special time. So looking forward to that this week, and then Friday night we'll have our homecoming game, Saturday the dance, and so a lot of thoughts and prayers for the high school staff. They got their hands full this week, but I know they'll have a great time with the kids and make a lot of great memories this week. So be on the lookout for that. Friday night is our homecoming game. And then want to give a quick update on Senate Bill 29, the monitoring of student devices. We have adjusted our Chromebook handbook. That happened last board meeting. And after today, sometime in the next week or so, we'll put out a blanket statement to our community in regards to how we're monitoring Chromebooks and why we monitor Chromebooks. We want to make sure people are just informed. It is a political topic that, for some reason, in the state has kind of become a hot button topic of invasion of privacy and giving students privacy and those type of things. And we're all for student privacy, and we're not looking to infringe on anything, but we also know it's critical that we maintain supervision of Chromebooks, because anytime the internet is involved with kids, things can go wrong. Things can happen. We constantly monitor for signs of suicide or self-harm or any type of violence. We saw, unfortunately last week, the school shooting in Georgia. We stress so much about positive behaviors and social and emotional wellness for our students. And monitoring those devices is a critical component of making sure we identify problems early on so we can help address them. We can get supports where they're needed when students need help handling different situations that just come naturally. It's a tough time in life. You hit the teenage years, and it's just hard. And there are a lot of pressures in society, and we feel it's just our responsibility to keep an eye on what our Chromebooks are being used for. We want to make sure they're being used for the right reasons, and so we continue to monitor. There are going to be changes to Senate Bill 29. I would expect an amendment to get passed probably in November or December to that bill, clarifying when letters should be sent home to parents. We kind of knew all the things that Senate bill was trying to accomplish. We've done those from day one. If we know that a student is having a health issue, or there's a threat of violence or self-harm, we're in contact with parents immediately.
proud to say that Travis Schaefer, vice principal at the high school, is very much in the forefront in getting in the ear of state representatives to let them know of our concerns with the bill. I've been lucky enough to be asked to help serve on a committee to work on the amendment to Senate Bill 29 and try to come up with adequate language to clarify what the purpose of the bill was and what the goals were, what the intent was. So, it's kind of all hands on deck right now, and we'll continue to work through that and hopefully have some updates for the board very soon. So, I believe that's all I have for this evening. Can answer any questions you might have. All right.
Moving on to policy revisions, again, it's the first reading of these revisions as Mr. Belleville and Ms. Roberts noted earlier. So take some time to look at that. Moving on to recognition of visitors, I don't think we have anyone here.
No one's signed.
So, moving on to consent and agenda section, workshops and conferences. We have a number of workshops and conferences noted below. Please just take a look at those really quick. And then Ms. Roberts, you want to move on to financial items to address that?
Okay, so a few things this evening. First is we do just have a then and now to have approved. And just as a reminder, this is when a service or something is purchased prior to a purchase order in place. Anytime it's over $3,000, I always have to stamp them, but then anytime it's over $3,000, it does need board approval. So that is why we're bringing that to the board this evening. The second is our financial summary for the month of August. I'm going to hit just some highlights for the month. So far, we have received almost $8.9 million for the first 2 months of the year, compared to $7.8 million last year, so up over $1 million or 13%. You'll notice the biggest change is actually in our property taxes. The big thing here actually is that over the past few years, we have a few pipelines that are going through our district. The Rockies pipeline has been contesting their overall value and therefore has not been paying their full amount of PUP taxes. Over the summer, that value was actually, it has kind of been put to rest, and they have agreed upon the value with the state. So this is the first time that they are now paying their delinquent taxes. So that's where we're seeing that big increase. So while it looks like we have a 22% increase, it's really coming from delinquent taxes that were underpaid over the last few years. I'm going to be out of the office tomorrow. I'm going to be working with our forecasting team in Columbus and really digging into some of this to see what that means for us going forward, what the new value of the Rockies pipeline is, and what that means to our PUP taxes. So I'll have some more answers to that coming out of tomorrow, but really happy that they settled, because this has been an ongoing, an ongoing thing that has just been unknown. We used to collect around 100% of all of our property and PUP taxes, and it was actually, it was about 8% that was being affected. So we were only collecting about 92 to 93% of taxes that were due to us, due to the fact that they were contesting their value. So really, really happy that that is kind of done and over, and we'll just now look at what that means go forward, and really looking at how that'll affect us. So more to come out of tomorrow, but that's where that big increase is they made that one-time payment in the month of August. Income taxes? Sure.
Well, now is this once a year? I mean, they made this payment, and this is possibly once a year then?
No, so that's what we're trying to find out, and that's what we're trying to, so we get property taxes 4 times a year is when we get paid our portion of property taxes. What we're trying to find out, and what we're getting some more details on, is did they just pay their full amount of delinquencies all at once, and then go forward, it'll just be our normal 100% of collections? That's what we're trying to find out for tomorrow. I have some questions out. Actually, one of the team members that's on our Forecast 5 comes from the Ohio Department of Taxation, so she has her hand in it. She knows all the details of it. So I've been working back and forth with her since this payment to kind of dig into that, and then working with the county auditor to say, okay, what is our new value? that's what tomorrow will bring, is really digging this. So I'll follow up with you after tomorrow.
I'm curious,
I know.
I'm curious also, is there a penalty for the delay?
So the law is that when they are in court, fighting their value, they have to pay something, and they've been doing that. So because they're in court and they've been paying something, there is no penalty to it. It's just back taxes and delinquencies that they're now paying us of what we've been owed. It's been at least the last 2 years that they have not been paying their full value. So I know we got that, and immediately because at first you're like, okay, property taxes didn't go up 22% for this time period, and immediately looking at it, it's the Rockies pipeline that's paying. So more to come. I will let you know. They were digging into it and really looking at where our values sit, but hoping to have some more answers tomorrow. So I will let you know. For sure, I'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
Let's see, jumping down into expenditures, our expenditures were 4.7 million versus 3.6 million last year. A few big call-outs. One is in our salaries. This is because the month of August was actually a 3-pay month for us this year versus that 3 pays didn't fall into September last year. So basically, we have one more pay under our belts than we did at this time last year. So that's where that looks like it is obviously much higher. It looks like it's up 34% to last year, but it's just due to the timing of the payroll going out. The other thing is to look at purchase services. We are up 40% in purchase services. And there's a few things that are actually contributing to this. One is our increase in our liability insurance premium, which we knew going into the year that was going to happen. Last year, so last school year was the first year that we switched over to Ohio School Plan. We switched over at our current values, our current property values, and we wanted to get through the year with those. It's Ohio School Plan's policy that within that first year that you are with them, they actually have somebody come out to the district and they do, a whole thing of going through every single building. Matt Smith and I walked every single building, every single area of the district, and they really came back and said, okay, where should your values be? We actually hadn't had an evaluation of our property values since I had been here, and I know it had been quite a while. So really just getting those property values up to where they needed to be, and working with our insurance company to make sure that if something were to ever happen, are we strategically high enough so that we can insure everything. So that was a one-time increase that we'll now see go forward. The other thing, we do have some additional informational platforms that we're using, and then some additional maintenance things that we've done throughout the district that are just really causing that increase already this year over last year.
How about the science of reading?
So we paid for that actually last year,
Okay.
and that's really in the supplies piece of it. So
Okay.
if you look at the next line down, number 4, supplies, we're down 64% in supplies, and it's because science of reading was really in the last fiscal year, and then all of our Wilson stuff, we had some Wilson stuff at this point of the year. Our supplies are also down because we paid for the band uniforms at the beginning of last year, which was a one-time payment. So it's kind of the inverse with supplies. Our supplies are down, but purchase services are up.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And then the transfers out, you'll see that we have $85,000 this year. That is just, again, a timing. We're required once a year to transfer that exact amount into our OFCC fund. Since our buildings were built with OFCC funds, we're required, that's kind of maintenance funds that we're required to transfer. So I just transferred it earlier this year, but it's the exact same amount every year. So far, our cash balance ended the month of August at $21,630,000, compared to $21,572,000 last year. So even with those differences, we are right on to last year. Obviously, with the increase in our property taxes and revenue, but then our increased expenses have really eaten into that. But a big piece of that is really just with that 3-pay month in August. So that's, once we get through September, that will even out. That's it for financials, unless there's any other questions on the financial piece. Okay, jumping into insurance. So far for our health insurance, I'm going to take you back to last year. If you remember, our first few months of last year, we had very, very high medical claims. Actually, I'm happy to say that so far now through the month of August, our claims are down 7% to last year.
it took us really through September of last year for our claims to start evening out. So we basically have one more month to where I can say that I feel like we're truly apples to apples from a time frame of where we should be. So when I come back and report on September, that's where I'll feel like, okay, just with claims shifting from year to year. We have had a few very large claims for the year. So it's not just that all the claims are, slowly increasing, it's that we've had a few targeted claims that have been pretty high. But at least good news is that they are down to last year, so starting to even that out. But obviously higher, we're just seeing an increase in insurance. That being said, we still ended our medical fund at 3.9 million versus 3.1 million last year, so still in really good shape. So even with the higher claims last year and then this year, the first month, we're in a good spot. Dental insurance, we're kind of just steady in dental insurance. We did see expenditure down 3%, revenue was up 15%. We did take our premiums up slightly this year for dental. But overall, our cash balance has been hovering just above that 200,000 mark, so it's right where it should be. So feeling pretty good about dental. Any questions on the two recaps? The only other thing I wanted to bring up is obviously this year we were really excited to bring free breakfast and free lunch to all of our students. So I wanted to work. Diana Browning and her team have been doing a great job. The lunch lines, we've had increased counts. Lunch lines are still moving quickly. So far, just through the month of August, so 11 school days in the month of August this year versus 11 school days in the month of August last year. So day for day, our breakfasts are up 257 breakfasts, and our lunch is up 304 per day. Now, that's total, all buildings, but that means breakfasts are up 2,835, and lunches are up 3,349. So overall, really excited to see that, really happy to see that, we are feeding more students, and really, really happy that, our community is excited for that, they're participating in that, and I'll obviously keep monitoring that and really keep looking at that, but just through the first 11 days, it looks like it's going really well. So, that is all I have this evening, unless there's any questions.
Are you getting the reports back from parents for that to monitor?
We are, so we can't do the exact report that we've had to do in the past. Once you're in the CEP program, so the eligibility program, you're not allowed to send out the exact report, but we are sending out like a survey questionnaire that's gathering a lot of that same information. Our Title I funding is still dependent upon a lot of that, so we're still trying to gather the information. It's just a different type of form that we technically are allowed to send out versus what we're allowed to send out before. So, but yes, we are still doing that.
Just want to make a quick comment. I don't know about the other board members, but I've been hearing very positive feedback in regards to the breakfast.
Good,
Right.
good, that's great. And I really, I was really working with Diana to make sure, like, okay, we were a little nervous, just can the lunch lines handle it? Can we handle, if we're obviously, more kids are eating, we need more food, we need more, we need the lines to keep moving through quickly. And everything that we've heard so far, we're getting the food we need, lunch lines are moving quickly, we're feeding students, so far, so knock on wood, so far so good. But really happy about it. So.
Ms. Conrad Zingmeister, before we go to a vote, under approved workshops and conferences as presented, number 14 should not be on the agenda there, so we just need to cross through number 14.
Moving on, so we need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as recommended by superintendent and treasurer, striking item number 14.
So moved.
Mr. Smeltzer makes a motion, I need somebody to second.
I'll second.
Mr. Hoffman seconds.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zingmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to the new business section. We've got a Need a motion on the floor for resignation of Kay Hughes as bus driver effective August 28th, 2024. Need a motion on the floor to approve that resignation.
So moved, Mr. Conrad, Tim Hines.
Mr. Kimmer makes a motion, I will second it.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to leave of absence, we have a motion on the floor to, we need a motion on the floor to pay for an unpaid leave of absence with Taylor Claiborne from October 7th through November 25th, as Mr. Dalbell mentioned in his superintendent's updates.
So moved.
Ms. Jones makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Hoffman seconds.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on, 5.3, need a motion on the floor to approve the personnel services supplemental contract as presented. It says here, Luke Horn, High School Student Council to Group 8, Step 1. There's any questions, comments on that one? No? Okay. Need a motion on the floor to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Smelter makes a motion, I will second.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 5.4, supplemental contracts, resident educator mentors. As presented here, I can go down the list real quick. Amanda Barr mentoring Hannah Penrose, Amanda Barr mentoring Channing Courtney, and Stephanie King mentoring Ellie Deal, Stephanie King mentoring Brianna Hoffman, Erin Lorich mentoring Devin Llewellyn, Erin Lorich mentoring Veronica Dalrymple, and Laura Collins mentoring Jennifer Neitzel.
And the vote would be on the mentors, not the people who are mentoring.
Okay.
Mr. DeStadio kind of heads this up. One of the things we've tried to do in the past couple of years is utilize our instructional coaches to be more mentors for our newer teachers. In the past, we've always had teachers willing to step forward and do that and take on that extra work of mentoring. But with science of reading and dyslexia and all the things that are on the plate of the classroom teacher, we wanted to leverage our instructional coaches a little bit more to try to ease a little bit of a burden off the teachers in regards to mentoring. One we have there, Laura Collins, who's kindergarten teachers, that Laura is a longtime mentor, and just being on the same team, that was kind of natural there. But that's why you see Ms. Barr, Ms. King, Ms. Lorich with a couple of mentorings apiece, is just really trying to leverage them as instruction coaches.
I need a motion on the floor to approve the supplemental contract.
So moved.
Ms. Johns makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Kimmer seconds.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 5.5. Volunteers, we need a motion to approve Mike Sullivan as a volunteer for assistant varsity coach. We deeply appreciate every one of those volunteers. Need a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Mr. Hoffman makes a motion, I will second.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to substitute classified list as presented. There's no comments or questions. I need a motion on the floor to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Kimmer, Mr. Smeltzer makes the motion. Need someone to second?
I'll second.
John seconds.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to the substitute teachers list. I believe there's, we need a motion on the floor to approve the substitute teachers list as presented if there are no comments or questions.
So moved, Mr. Conrad.
Mr. Kimmer makes the motion, I will second.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Master.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Snow.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to educational trips as presented. We've got Chris Turner and Matt McPhail to take FFA students to an event at the State House to speak about agriculture, September 24th. And then Chris Turner is going to take soil judging team to Knox County Field on October 1st. And then Hannah Penrose is going to take FFA agriculture students to the Farm Science Review at Molly Heron Agriculture Center, September 18th. Crystal Swix is to take the DECA students to Capital University, October 9th. And then Hannah Penrose is going to take FFA students to the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana on October 22nd to 26th. Are there any comments or questions?
Yes. With Chris Turner, Mr. Turner, Mr. McPhail going to the State House, is this something that's always been?
Yeah, good.
Yes, yes, indeed.
It is something that they do every year for FFA students.
Okay.
It's an FFA event, have an opportunity to have a luncheon with the legislators or some of them. And,
Okay.
just have an opportunity to meet them, they give a presentation there. So Mr. Turner just asked me if I would be interested in going, and, I thought it would be a
Yeah.
nice opportunity.
Mark. That's awesome. Okay, thank you for the insight.
So I need the motion on the floor to approve the educational trips as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hoffman makes a motion, I will second.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Master.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Snow.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to the contract for services for Muskegon Valley ESC for fiscal year 2025. I'll have a chance to review it. Mr. Belleville mentioned it briefly earlier. We have no comments or questions. I need a motion to approve the contract as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Smelter makes a motion. Need someone to second?
I'll second.
John seconds.
Mr. Smelter.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Master.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2025.
This is just a yearly, we have to approve this, before October 1st. You have already approved the temporary appropriations, which we approved in June, that basically allows us to spend at the beginning of this year. However, now that we have closed out fiscal '24, this is just with actual numbers of how we ended 2024. Purchase orders are here, and you know, what we expect to spend this year. My strategy is at this point in the year, we really look at where all of our funds are sitting and plan to spend the majority of it. And then that way we can kind of, back into it a little more throughout the year. But we do believe that these are the funds that are available, obviously not spending all of our general fund. But then really looking now that we have all our budget in place and everything, making sure that these appropriations are higher than budgets, just to allow for some kind of like, but same thing that you usually approve, this board meeting every year.
There are no comments, any further comments or any questions? Need a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Conrad.
Mr. Kimmer makes a motion. I need someone to second.
I'll second.
Mr. Schmelter seconds.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Smelter.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Master.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on to closing items. Can't believe we're already there. Pretty quick. The next meeting will be Monday, September 23rd, 7 p.m. at the district office. And
Yes.